Vana dhiriho rairo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rairo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, vakomana vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje gara mudhiriho, musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje nogara mudhiriho, dhiriho ravakomana, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rairo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje gara mudhiriho, dhiriho ravakomana, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, vakomana vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje nogara mudhiriho, dhiriho ravakomana, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rairo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje nogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rairo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje nogara mudhiriho, vakomana vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje nogara mudhiriho, usatambe navo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho ravakomana, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rairo vanogara mudhiriho, dhiriho rarembanje gara mudhiriho, dhiriho ravakomana, dhiriho rarembanje vanogara mudhiriho. Manheru akanaka vana veZimbabwe, sanganai neni wenyu shaibundolo 𝗪𝗵𝗵 naye hanzi zvinoita kutapira kana zvangu zvauya hanzi ndoita kuita zvinakidze naye. Manheru akanaka. Nhasi muri kuona smairi yacho chaicha inenge riti kana izwi rasi rinenge riranga kuti dzokei mbichana. Saka maona 23 August 2023 we are going to hold harmonized elections in Zimbabwe. Elections were held in Zimbabwe in 1980, in 1985, in 1990, 1995, in 2000, 2002, 2005, 2008, 2023, 2018, then 2013, 2018, 2023. I mean, elections in Zimbabwe were held in 1980, 85, 90, 95, 2000, 2002, 2005, 2008, 2013, 2018, 10 elections. 2023 is the 11th election. Talking about my elections, H11, my national elections being held in Zimbabwe. I want to be honest with the people of Zimbabwe. The 10 elections that were held in our country, these elections were never peaceful. Probably the 2008 election was the only peaceful election out of the 10 held so far. We Zimbabweans have been hoping that when things get bad, we might get international assistance. We are a family. Anzi pachipamwe mukoma yuda dhiriho manga matomu ridzirere manonoka mukoma boni nanatotsemura dhiriho rembanje. Saka ndoda kutaura nyaya yema-elections that we have held 10 elections in the past, and out of those 10 elections only 2008 March election was probably the most peaceful election that was ever held in Zimbabwe. And it was a very free and fair election that saw Robert Mugabe being defeated, or ZANU-PF defeated, but they refused to go. They resorted back to violence. They started abducting people. They started killing people. Houses were burned. Up to today, we've got a lot of offense in our country. Remember when I did a 2008 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗵𝗿𝗀, when I did a 2008 election rigging video, I explained in that video that Zimbabwe was a boiling pot where only stones can survive. And I understand that those who survived 2008 killings, beatings, destruction, destruction of property, those were really stones, because you were boiled, but you did not budge to the heat and the boiling of political situation in our country. So tonight, which is the 1st of June, 2023, I am back to you again looking at the 2018 ZANU-PF manifesto. So we want to walk through the ZANU-PF manifesto, or we might not finish the whole manifesto, but we are going to look into crucial things that can make Zimbabweans make decisions. We are facing a harmonized election on the 23rd of August this year, where people who are going into this election must make wise decisions. Today I was chatting with my brother Obet Gutu. Tinowirirana, tinombotaurira, tombopopotedzana, totukana. Hapana imba isina kupopotedzana kana kutukana naye. I was talking to him when he was making a prediction that your 𝗪𝗶𝗃 party will never garner 65 seats in this election. I said to him, Mdara, don't dream. Because people are going to vote. This is an election where before you go to vote, you don't know what number of seats you are going to garner. Because ZANU-PF is giving itself false hopes, looking back at the 10 elections that have been held so far in our country, which were all violent except the March 2008 election, which was free and fair. So we are going to walk the Anzko 𝗪𝗶𝗂𝗵𝗿𝗀 It's a plot at a flow. It's a CIO wing that has been created by Emmerson Mnangagwa after realizing that he lost the 2018 election and he is likely to lose heavily the 2023 election. I am going to look into all that. Then tomorrow I'll probably be visiting the Central Intelligence Organization, how it is organized, when it was started. Tomorrow, I think we need to let's tag a lot of people tomorrow, because I am going to discuss the intelligence agents of Zimbabwe, the Central Intelligence agents, how it is structured, when it started, how it started, and why it is interfering in Zimbabwe politics rather than interfering or trying to protect Zimbabwe as a nation from foreign interference. So what I'm going to look into tonight is the manifesto of ZANU-PF. I know a lot of people just know that ZANU-PF launched their manifesto in 2018. They didn't know what was put in that manifesto, which is crucial for the people of Zimbabwe to consider when going into voting. Are you going to vote ZANU-PF? Do you have any reasons to vote ZANU-PF? If you say yes, we reserve the right to know why you still believe that after 10 elections which were held by ZANU-PF and it claimed the victory in all those elections, after brutalizing voters, after brutalizing the citizens of a country, but when they get the power, they get drunk with the power. They don't know what to do with the office of president. You give them the executive. Yesterday we spoke a lot about the roles of the executive branch of government, which is led by a president. We spoke a lot. We discussed eye-opening situations yesterday that those who were present here can be a witness to me, that we discussed at length what an election is, political election, electoral politics. What is electoral politics? We discussed that. And why do we hold elections? We discussed that. So this is like a continuation of what we discussed yesterday. Why do we need to hold elections? Why? And we know why those elections should be democratic. We know. Because if you look at all the elections that were held in Zimbabwe, they ushered mediocrity, and that mediocrity resulted in incompetent ZANU-PF party assuming governance of a country. And what did they achieve in the 43 years they have been in power, or in 10 elections that they've claimed victory? What did they achieve? Yes, they get they come to you and announce any results that they feel they obtained. They say, no, this one didn't win election. Let's go for a run. We won this election. Then they get the power. What do they do with the power? What have they done with the power? What did they do with the power? Until now, why should people vote ZANU-PF? And why should people vote ZANU-PF out of power? Because we are going to look into a manifesto. A manifesto is a roadmap that the party aims to achieve in 5 years. When they come to you, they bring their manifesto to say, look, for the next 5 years, if you voters, we are going to do this, we are going to do that, we are going to do that. So at the end of 5 years, let's do audit, let's do stock check. What did ZANU-PF achieve out of what they promised you in 2018? That you should continue voting ZANU-PF. If ZANU-PF achieved what they promised, then by now Zimbabweans would not be reeling in such poverty, and you have got the right to retain it. So election, as we stated yesterday, is to elect representatives who perform your wishes, the wishes of the people of Zimbabwe. So this is what we want to look into tonight. This time togara mdriora wakaita skirira ori pakaipa mkomagidza pakaipa. So let's look at the ZANU-PF manifesto. Because remember, ZANU-PF, I'll look into the summary, the 2018 ZANU-PF manifesto. Approved, this is the approved theme of their manifesto. The theme of their manifesto was to unite. And I don't think they have a manifesto, because what they say is not what they do. Exactly, Mkomalad. So this is why I am saying, let's open people's mind, let's open people's eyes to see that ZANU-PF has got no manifesto. Whatever they write is not exactly what they do. You understand? So when we go into voting, we then go into a drive to remove ZANU-PF from power. Because what ZANU-PF was saying, the theme of their manifesto, or the theme of ZANU-PF's 2018 election was to unite the people of Zimbabwe. As we stand, are we united? No. They say they want to fight corruption. As we stand today, after you watched ZANU-PF in power for 5 years, did they fight corruption? No. They came to you and say, we want to develop Zimbabwe in the 5 years of new dispensation. Did they develop the country? No. Instead, they went on to finish renovating Harare International Airport. They went on to finish retiring roads which were made by Ian Smith. They went on to finish Mugabe's project, the Beit Bridge. So when they come to you, they say it's a development. These projects have been started long time ago, before the new dispensation came into power. So when we talk of development, it has got zero development so far that ZANU-PF has achieved. So we go into re-engagement. When they came, they said their theme was to drive a re-engagement mantra, where they hoped to re-engage the Americans, where they hoped to re-engage the British. And the problem is, when they say they were re-engaging the British, they were meeting irrelevant people. They were meeting irrelevant people. When they met, instead of the Foreign Office to organize meetings with relevant people, people who are in authority, people who have got a say, people who can influence our political environment. They went on to meet the Tony Blairs, the former British Prime Minister, who has got no say today in the running of the British affairs. If you go to America, they went to America, they came to COP26, where they met all the presidents in the world. Instead of them to drive during that time their re-engagement mantra, they didn't, they failed. But in their manifesto, they were talking about their theme to re-engage the West. When they say re-engagement, they are trying to go back to the people, to the Western countries, and say, please forgive us what we did. We are starving. Can you come and help us? This is what they do when they want to do a re-engagement. They go there and say, look, our hospitals are empty. We used to rely on Mishongaya type 1, UN, Mishongaya type 1, US and Britain. Now we are getting nothing. You have got a minister of health who went to India to import expired drugs to inject Africans, to inject the people of Zimbabwe. Remember, when Chiwenga became Minister of Health, he flew to India. He brought expired drugs and he stuffed our hospitals with expired drugs. Imagine in the 21st century where a health minister will go and buy expired medication and deliver it to your hospitals and say, we have got medication in the hospitals. So the mantra of re-engagement did not work for the last 5 years. So let's walk through this manifesto, the ZANU-PF manifesto. If you look at create jobs, this was their theme. They said they want to create jobs. How many jobs did they create? They only created one job for Nick Mangwana to go from England to go and work as foreign information secretary in the Zimbabwe government. He is a civil servant. He is a civil servant. That position does not belong to ZANU-PF. It's a government position. Whatever he posts about Mnangagwa, that's wrong. He must post about the president, not about Mnangagwa as a political leader, a ZANU-PF political leader. So let's walk through their manifesto, and let's look at the structure of the manifesto. First of all, there was a foreword on the structure, which is an executive summary by Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Then they went on, they call him His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe. I don't think these titles should be used when he's doing his ZANU-PF duties, because when he's not doing Zimbabwe duties, doing political party duties, he's not His Excellence. I think ZANU-PF has to know this. When he's doing he's the first secretary of ZANU-PF. When he's launching the manifesto for a political party, I don't think he should utilize titles like His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, and so forth. No. He should just utilize the titles like the first secretary of ZANU-PF, because he will be doing political party duties, which has got nothing to do with the running of Zimbabwe. So that manifesto has totally nothing to do with the running of our country. It was a ZANU-PF manifesto which they were selling to the people to say, if you vote us, we are going to deliver this, we are going to deliver that. This is what they say, that if you vote us into power, we are going to unite the country, we are going to fight corruption, we are going to develop Zimbabwe, we are going to re-engage the West, we are going to create jobs for you people. It had 5 themes, which I don't believe myself as Shepherd Yuda that they ever met any of those 5 themes. They call our ZANU-PF presidential candidate. You understand? So this is why I am saying, if they say His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, and later on to say our ZANU-PF presidential candidate, those are causing confusion. They are just causing confusion. When they talk about their ZANU-PF presidential candidate, they talk about their first secretary of the party, who is the head of that party. That head can be someone none other than not President of Zimbabwe. You understand? They went on to say guiding principles for the 2018 People's Manifesto. This is ZANU-PF's manifesto. So let's see what is there. They put it as ZANU-PF vision and promise to the people of Zimbabwe, which is now very important. 𝗪𝗶𝗵 𝗧𝗵𝗿 I think I will take another presentation to consider this new law and warn the people of Zimbabwe. What is today's topic, Law Mash? Today's topic, we are walking through ZANU-PF manifesto. Why I am walking through ZANU-PF manifesto is to try to open Zimbabweans' mind and eyes to see which political party to vote for. Because that manifesto had a theme, and the theme was to unite the country, fight corruption, develop Zimbabwe, re-engage the West, and create jobs for the unemployed 99.9% people of Zimbabwe. That was the manifesto. But did ZANU-PF fulfill all the 5 themes in their manifesto? We are yet to see that. And the manifesto of ZANU-PF structure was like, it had a forward that was put by Emmerson Mnangagwa, who was the first secretary of ZANU-PF. I cannot say His Excellence on this juncture because I'm talking about a party manifesto, not a country manifesto. Then their presidential candidate, spoke about their presidential candidate, who was Emmerson Mnangagwa during that time. They talked about ZANU-PF values and principles. They looked into guiding principles for the 2018 People's Manifesto. They now put it as ZANU-PF vision and promise to the people of Zimbabwe, building an inclusive, peaceful and united modern African country. Ndobva ndamira atete mas zviri sei ndati ndikamira paka ZANU-PF vision and promise to the people. Part of the ZANU-PF vision and promise to the people was peaceful, was building an inclusive, peaceful and united modern African country. These English words there is, you can just arrange them. What I'll do, these days what I'm doing, I'm reading very simple English made simple books to understand English properly. Remember when I was talking to 𝗪𝗹𝗲 to say, if you are an African, when English is not your first language, you cannot read any English article without a Bible, without a dictionary. You need to consult the dictionary to understand the idea or the styles being used, or the words being used in an essay, in a book, wherever you do. So, ZANU-PF is a political party that has got doctors in there, professors in there, loads of people, educated people are found in a lot of educated people are there in ZANU-PF. Definitely, these people are liars. Good topic of the night. Expose them. Save this life. We will share it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mura Chambo Zirufama. So what I'm saying is, English words. You can simply put one English word after another. Kushika waita sentence inokwanakana 10 lines. Ushisama English words one after another, trying to paint mediocrity into something that is acceptable. Because when I talk about ZANU-PF vision and the promise to the people of Zimbabwe, they say that they are promising the people of Zimbabwe to build an inclusive. This is an English word. An inclusive. A peaceful. It's an English word. Remember, I'm talking about inclusive, peaceful, and united. These are 3 important words which ZANU-PF promised you guys, that you will be included in an environment that is so peaceful, and you guys must be united. That was the promise to the people of Zimbabwe. They said they wanted to build a modern African country. Imagine, they have been in power for 43 years. They came 2018 with a manifesto that is telling you that they want to build a modern African country after 43 years of independence. This is when I am saying, people of Zimbabwe, you must start opening your mind. You must start opening your eyes and see. Someone who has been in power for 43 years is coming back to you to say he now wants to build a modern African country Where have you been for the last 43 years when other nations were developing? Go to Angola today. Go to Mozambique. Go to Zambia today. You will see wonders in those countries. Parties which have run that country since independence. But in Zimbabwe, you've got a political party that is coming now 43 years of independence. These guys, remember, when they got into government or into parliament, they were walking on twos. They were very young. Some of them were 34 years of age, younger than me. That is the time they were supposed to have seen the beauty of the world. The time that they should have seen the modern of African countries and modernize our country. By now, they are now walking on threes. Most of 𝗪𝗶𝗶 𝗪𝗲 varikudonzva, and they are now coming now. Vachembera vachena musoro. They can't walk properly. They can't breathe properly. Vatove my health conditions. Aruteta kuti munhu anenge achingomwa mapirizi every day ekuchembera. Zvirwere zvakaita diabetes zvatinazvo zvazvekukura zvekuchembera. Hatina kukurana na diabetes. Now they are now coming vachembera kudaro. They've driven you into poverty. It's very difficult for them to take you out of this poverty donga where they threw you in. Then they are saying now that avachagone kutaura tauya isusu vanhu vezadu tinoda kukuvakirai modern African country. We wanted to modernize Zimbabwe. Vakubvunda kudai sona na Parkinson diseases. Vachembera. Andimona. Tukutaura vanhu vachembera. Useless people now. Who went into government very young. Vachimhanya motarisai mavideos aMugabe. Vamanyiraita vana munanga gwavari mabodyguard aMugabe. Vachimhanya vachiteera mabenzi, vachiteera mapiuja ayaya. And now they can't run. They can't climb even my steps. They can't even jump or dance. Ndakaona president Chamisa vachijamba vachisvetuka kuenda mudenga. Ndikazona munanga gwaida kutamba news. Akatadza kusimudza kana gumbo 1. He's now coming to you and say, guys, I want to build a modern African country. You want to modernize Zimbabwe today, 43 years of independence. If you vote 𝗪𝗶𝗶, you are a moron. You are a moron. You are a very stupid person. You are dull. You are daft. Because how can you vote for a political party that has run the country for 43 years, to come 43 years later and say they want to modernize Zimbabwe? How are they going to modernize Zimbabwe now? If they fail to modernize Zimbabwe, chitima chaicho hatisisina munyika. Zvitima zvavaishandisa tichazomodernize 43 years to come. Chazva zvinhu zvitima zvaIan Smith. Njanji dzedu anoti standard njanji dzatinadzo munyika. Hatina chinhu chinonzi economy. Hatisina chinhu chinonzi economy munyika. Hatisina currency. A country that does not have its own currency. Tikushandisa zvinhu zvima-RTGS, tikushandisa zvima-bearer checks. Then they try to come and convince you that vote for us, we will modernize this country. When are you expecting to modernize the country? When this is a 2018 manifesto. 5 years down the line, let's do stock check. We still have one TV station, yes. As some 𝗪𝗶𝗶 promises after 43 years are embarrassing. This is really embarrassing. That's nonsense. This is really, really embarrassing. This is why you see I've thought tonight to explore or to take a walk through their manifesto and see what they have managed to do for you. So that when you go into an election, you are informed. You are well informed. You really understand what you are going to do in an election. And what they were promising the people of Zimbabwe is 𝗪𝗶𝗶 unparalleled success. We are going through. We will see the unparalleled success that they promised you. It gives an account of our commitment to fulfilling the people's aspirations. These are English words. These are English statements. You can put very beautiful English words one after another to make a very beautiful statement. But do you fulfill what you have written? Because if they manage to fulfill what they wrote in their 2018 manifesto, Zimbabwe will be the most beautiful country than London, than England, than any other country. It will be the most beautiful country if you consider the words that they used in this propaganda document to say, look, they're going to give an account of a commitment they want to fulfill the people's aspirations. You imagine, Zimbabweans aspire a lot of things. And ZANU-PF is coming to promise you that they are going to fulfill those aspirations 43 years after independence. So this is when I am saying, guys, you need to understand ZANU-PF. You need to understand the ZANU-PF. So let's see something fun is happening here. Something fun is happening with my computer. Something really funny. Anyway, let me go back with right. So I was talking about the structure of their manifesto. I was talking about overcoming the challenges. They said highlights the ways to overcome the constraints of fulfilling the people's aspirations. Then I was, finally, in conclusion, or to sum up, these people, they said they wanted to restore our dignity. Imagine someone who came to power when he was 20 years old. Most of these guys in government, they were 20 years old. Anama Mjuru were 23 years old when they were ministers of the land. They were about 20 years of age. Now, 20 years plus probably 43 years. The youngest ZANU-PF cadre is around 63 years old. That's the youngest ZANU-PF cadre. Is around 63 years old. Being 63 years old, you come to an 18-year-old Zimbabwean, you come to a 20-year-old Zimbabwean to say you are going to restore our dignity. Where? Who took away the dignity? Who caused the Zimbabweans to lose dignity? And you caused us to lose dignity. Then you are coming back to say you want to restore the dignity. You understand? So, people of Zimbabwe, you are not fools. You are not fools at all. This is the time where you should make sound decisions. 2023 election is not far. It's a month. Now we are in June. We are left out with July, 1 month. Then we go into an election. In that election, we are saying there are people who made you lose dignity. And those same people who made you lose dignity are coming back to you in 2023 and say, vote for us. We want to restore that dignity we kicked away. You understand? Thank you, Gogashogo and 𝗪𝗲𝗵𝗵. 23 is our year 𝗪𝗶𝗳, yes, just by the corner. Kufamba kweshoko, Iron Lad, is to share this video, the videos I am doing now from now until the election. These are very crucial videos that needs to open the Zimbabwe people's minds and see exactly where we are. You know, you understand? 43 years after independence plus 20 years when you were born. 63 years now. The youngest ZANU-PF cadre is 63 years old. And these people now, after brutalizing our dignity, after destroying the country's dignity, they are coming back now very old and useless and claim that they want to restore your dignity. Presenting, they were talking about presenting their candidate to the people in 2018. They were reiterating their basis on an electoral victory. What they look for is electoral victory. And that electoral victory, which makes them, I will download this video and share on WhatsApp. Thank you. So, forward of their manifesto was to restore the legacy of liberation struggle. Right. And a key word in this manifesto is restoration. If you think about something like restoration, think about restoring something. You destroy something, then you want to restore it. This is a very crucial word, English word, that Zimbabweans must bear in mind when we go into an election. That we have got a political party which has ruled the country for 43 years. Today they come to you and say they want to restore the legacy of the liberation struggle. Those who did not witness the liberation struggle, it's very unfortunate for you. You are the only people who are being fooled here that they want to restore the legacy of the liberation struggle. What is the legacy of the liberation struggle? Burning people's houses, abducting and killing opponents. The legacy, if you look from 1975 to 1980, there is totally no legacy to talk about in ZANU-PF. This is the crucial era where these people were gunning each other down, were killing each other, to the extent that after independence, after declaration after a war ended into an election, we saw Tongo being killed. So I don't know. Yes, they want to restore. It's a very crucial English word that people must bear in mind when they are going into 2023 election. Because ZANU-PF can never restore the legacy of the liberation struggle. They can never. They can never. They destroyed the legacy. So for them to restore, it needs someone. It needs President Nelson Chamisa to restore the legacy. This is why you see 𝗪𝗲𝗬𝗂 na mwari weZimbabwe adaira kuti Chamisa apinde. Hanzi ndo ngaapinde ake mukomana. Even muZANU-PF chayo vakuru vakaenda kuhondo vari kutaura kuti midzimu yadaira kuti mwana uyu ngaatonge nyika inoyi. Now I tell Rawan that if you want to understand the history of the 𝗪𝗹𝗸 empire, you can understand where Chamisa came from. He's like someone from the royal family of the country. They did not stop abuse. They did not stop killing. So I don't know what they want to restore. You understand? So the ruling Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front ZANU-PF party hereby presents the People's Manifesto for the 2018 harmonized elections at this opportune yet defining moment. So they presented this 2018 manifesto to the people of Zimbabwe. They said they are now, let me read exactly what they wrote. They said we are now in a new dispensation under the leadership of ZANU-PF, where the focus and the preoccupation of the new administration is opening the country for business, fighting corruption, creating jobs, modernizing the public sector, and promoting investment, economic empowerment, realigning to an investor-friendly trajectory, leading to economic growth and employment creation. This chapter or this paragraph is a very crucial paragraph that we must look critically. That we must look. When I say critical, we look at things like, when did these people write this? Why did they write it? What was their intention of writing such a manifesto? How did they do it? And how do they expect to do it? So if you look at ZANU-PF, what they were talking about, the focus, they said they were a new dispensation. That new dispensation had a focus. They were preoccupied by opening the country for business. Remember, that is the time when the Herald was above the moon, writing that there are thousands and thousands of American factories that are in queue to invest in Zimbabwe. That was about 5 years ago. Please. I am not sure, Drake. I am not sure. I'm not sure. I think he's there. I'm not sure. So what I'm saying, what we are talking about tonight is the manifesto of ZANU-PF. We are walking through the manifesto of ZANU-PF, seeing what they've managed to achieve. They said they were opening Zimbabwe as a country for business. They, remember them, Mnangagwa flying every single day to various countries saying he is going to sell Zimbabwe. Little known that he was busy selling gold. He was studying. He was selling gold. Little known that Mnangagwa was traveling abroad to various countries with a plane full of gold, selling gold to enrich himself. So the country, he was saying Zimbabwe is open for business. Up to date, how many foreign businesses came to invest in Zimbabwe? None. Nicky Mangwana went ballistics, claimed in the Herald that there were thousands and thousands of American factories queuing to invest in Zimbabwe. 5 years down the line, we are asking Nicky Mangwana, where are those American countries? None. He went on to say by April, he said by June 2019 or 2018, CSC Mashingo will start operating. How can they operate in a country where there are no cattle? CSC ndiye nyama. Inenge ichitenga nyama, ichiuraya, ichipreserve, ichiexporta nyama. But yaizo operator say CSC yacho munyika musina magetsi. Munyika musina breed yemombe dziri well catered for beef or milk. And on. So I told Nicky Mangwana, I was one of the people who was critical on that, to say, Nicky Mangwana, what you are saying is impractical. ZANU-PF will never see CSC operating again. And on. So these people were daydreaming. They were daydreaming. So the idea of opening Zimbabwe for business did not work. They went on to write that they were ready to fight corruption as a new dispensation. Instead, Mnangagwa now is the chief corrupt officer. He's the head of the corruption in our country. You have all seen the gold mafia. You have all seen the chrome scandal. All minerals. He is now the head of the corruption. He is the head of the gold mafia. Instead, ZANU-PF were talking about fighting corruption, whilst they were putting someone corrupt himself. You understand? They were saying they were going to realign economic empowerment to an investor-friendly trajectory, to economic growth and employment creation. Tikataura economic empowerment today in ZANU-PF. You talk about makurokosa, vachinochera goridhe, and the economic empowerment. Nakanzwa mwa mutaradzi uri kurambidzwa nani kuchera. Vanhu vari muZimbabwe enda tione kuti woti panapa ndawana gold ndakuchera nditengese. Unorichera here goridhe iroro. Andiona. Investor friendly trajectory. It never came. I've never seen an investor coming to Zimbabwe. I've heard Macmillan, whose father was a CIO during the Rhodesian government, who said to himself that, look, you cannot invest with a black man. Don't trust a black man. So I've never seen this economic growth in our country. Krashe economic growth, let's look at the inflation rate. Now, one RTGS or one bond is equivalent to $1. Today it's 1:4,000. So can we call that economic growth? Where inflation now is about 800% in a country. Employment creation. Apana mabasa akacreatwa muZimbabwe. Kana pane vanhu vakaemployiwa ndevapi? Because those same ZANU-PF people who were not employed in 2018 are still not employed. If they were 25 years old in 2018, now they are 30 years old. When are you expecting employment? You will die unemployed. Another 5-year term, ZANU-PF is seeking another 5-year term where you will be very old and useless. Now, if you were 25, you are now 30. Add 5 more years, you'll be 35. That's deal done. Auna imba, auna pension, auna job security, auna qualification yaunayo, vana vako havasi kuenda kuchikoro, zvipatara zvina mushonga. You will be 35 years old. Few years to come, you'll be 40. Shavaran. So we look at the life expectancy of the people of Zimbabwe. Because life expectancy in Zimbabweans is 35 years. When I put 35 years, what we say guru? So by the time you to now, when you were 80, when you were 25 in to 2018, you are now 30, and ZANU-PF is looking for 5 more years for you to be 35. That is the life expectancy of the people of Zimbabwe. From there onwards, kurarama yanyasha takutarisira kuti makutonoredzerwa ngoma kuita mdzimu anditi mona. Saka that ZANU-PF manifesto, it never worked. ZANU-PF is they say ZANU-PF is a revolutionary party. They said ZANU-PF is a democratic party that continues to seek broad-based development and economic emancipation of the people of Zimbabwe. They are saying 43 years of independence, this political party, being a revolutionary and a democratic party, never found foot on the emancipation of the people of Zimbabwe. They are still seeking kutopedza sei matambudziko enyika yevana veZimbabwe. And they are coming to you, they want 5 more years. Kuti varamba vachita ma-experiments neupenyu hwenyu, vachiti tinopedza sei matambudziko enyu enyika yeZimbabwe. They said this is founded on unshakable principles that hold justice and equity for all. ZANU-PF is the least qualified party to talk about justice in our country. It is the least qualified party to talk about equity of all in our country. They say it is a liberation movement. And we are going to look at what a liberation movement is. They said ZANU-PF thrives and cherishes national unity. 43 years of independence to where we are from 1980. Have you ever seen united people in ZANU-PF? If they were united, why would they carry out a coup against Robert Mugabe? Why would they fire? Futi vachiridzira vana Jonathan Moyo vachitiza vana Kasukwero vachitiza nyika vachinogara muna South Africa. It's a political party, a democratic political party that it thrives and cherishes national unity. So where is the unity? Where is the national unity? Which is the foundation of the sound conditions of peace. Both national unity are the foundations of sound conditions of peace, security and development. This is why you see Zimbabwe is under development. Because there is no security in that country. These were supposed to be the foundations of peace in our country. If your country has got no peace, if your country has got no security, and that country will never develop. If you look at ZANU-PF today, the government that they created, the system that they implemented from 1980 to 2023, it is a system where, guys, when I'm talking here, I know some of you are relying on hearing this. They think these are just stories. I am one of the political victims of ZANU-PF. Thanks so much, Go. But what I'm saying is ZANU-PF, when I'm talking about ZANU-PF, and when I talk about lack of peace, when I talk about lack of security, that hampered development in our country, I'm looking at an example, yangu inini. Kuti pandaitaura kuti ngatite national unity batani vakomana. ZANU-PF yatadza, let's vote another political party, inobatanidza vanhu, tidevelope nyika yedu. The country became chaotic. There was no peace in my life. I became a victim. I've been arrested on several occasions. I've been tortured. When I say this, this is why I say there is no security, there's no peace in our country. So those conditions, they don't encourage development. There are no business people who can come and invest in such a chaotic country. Let's go and see how the land reform was done. Then you still talk of re-engagement. You still talk of developing a country. You want investors to come. When they know that 𝗪𝗵𝗂, he took Westwood's garage, those cars and everything. Then you want investors to come again. When the law hasn't been applied on 𝗪𝗵𝗂, who went to take a garage kuti murungu ari panapa ibva business rarangu. Then you want more investors to come and invest in such an environment. You are not being honest, ZANU-PF. They are not being honest. There is no national unit. Because the national unit is, I've said, is the foundation of a sound conditions for peace, of peace. For you to have peace, you must be united as a country, as a people. For you to have security, you must be united as a country, as a people. For you to develop as a country, you need to be united. So national unity is very important. If we look back for the past 5 years, do we have national unity? On the 1st of August, people were gunned down in Harare. Do we have security? Do we have peace? When a government is deploying soldiers with the AK assault rifles to go and shoot people on the streets, do you call that peaceful environment? Do you call that there is security? When innocent people are gunned down, then you preach peace. You want to preach unity. You want to say, let's develop our country whilst you are killing the people who are working to develop the country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I'm saying, if we revisit or walk through the 2018 ZANU-PF manifesto, musachimurenga muZimbabwe, konzera civil war. Manifesto ZANU-PF, it creates civil war in our country. Because if every Zimbabwean sit down, read that manifesto, or revisit it, consider what happened, what transpired between 2017 and 2023, definitely you will take up arms against ZANU-PF government. Because these, I've said, these are English words which were aligned one after the other to make the manifesto sound beautiful. But is that a beauty what they implemented on the ground? Say no. And it manzo. So they went on to say, the essence of ZANU-PF is ideological. Thrust is the establishment of sustained society, firmly based on historical, cultural, and social experience, to create conditions for economic independence, prosperity, and equitable distribution of the wealth of the nation. If we talk about equitable distribution of the wealth of the country, we go back to socialism. We go back to communism. These are the ideas of socialism. These are the ideas of communism, which were put in English. Remember, those ideas, they emanated from the likes of Marx, who were Germans. They were Russians. Lenin, Stalinism. Those historians or those people we read in history were the people who were talking about equitable distribution of wealth amongst the people of Zimbabwe. Let's go to Zimbabwe today. We've got the likes of 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗂 driving a $420,000 car in a potholed country where if you ask where he got that money, he got a tender through corrupt means, through Mnangagwa, to build solar panels that will provide about 1,000 megawatts to Gwanda town. That project did not take off. ZESA has to pay him $580 million. And buying a 420,000 worth of a car, to him it's nothing. Anokwira ndege madira achinda achita zvaanoda nemari dzenyu, haana kana project yaari kuita, not even one project. You understand? So if we talk about equitable distribution of wealth, Zimbabwe is the only country, the least country qualified to talk about that. To talk about the prosperity of the people of Zimbabwe. When Zimbabwe now, the situation is worse. When Warukanga waya Zimbabwe. When Warukushupika Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that I am in touch with the Zimbabweans on daily basis. on daily basis. Phone calling, chatting, calling different parts of the country. The situation is not as what people see or being written by Nick Mangwana with his several Twitter handles. No. The situation is dire on the ground. The people of Zimbabwe, they need change today. Vanhu vari kukanga waya muZimbabwe. Ndine guys who went to Zimbabwe recently and came back, they are saying, Mdara, zvamuri kunzwa, zvamunoona, zvamunoverenga pamatwitter zvinyorwa nana Nick Mangwana is not exactly the situation on the ground. The situation is dire. In Zimbabwe, we don't talk of wealth anymore, because the wealth is concentrated in few people. You understand? And they, in their manifesto, they say ZANU-PF believes in a free enterprise, free market economy. Ayamazwe chirungwa. Vana enterprise, kushanda zvine Vana free market economy. That will never work in Zimbabwe. Enda kuZimbabwe, unovhura business. Mtulingwe, kana iri free market economy, unotengesa ma products awahodha iwewe nemutengo unokuta kuti uite profit. Endai kuZimbabwe, ndakaona Minister of Finance achifamba supermarket by supermarket achiataka manager dzisai mutengo. Mark my words. Panopera June, those shelves will be empty. Because I cannot go and order zvinhu South Africa basics to come and sell at a price yanoziva kuti I am at a loss. Hakuna business rinomira pakadaro. Kuti unonohodha zvinhu kunze kwenyika, woya zvisinga manufacture munyika, woya woisa mushop, wotengesa woita loss. You want to pay my overhead expenses. You want to maintain equipment, salaries and so forth. From the things wakaenda kunohodha, woya wotengesa, ukahodha chingwa 5 rands, onzi chitengese 4 rands 20. You've lost 80 cents. Saka uchazo zichakavwa nani? Out of that Maria waruza ucharuza futi ma salaries, ucharuza ma overhead expenses, akaita sana electricity, ma bills, akaita sana electricity, water and so forth. So we cannot talk of free market economy in our country. Things are not working in that country. This is ZANU-PF manifesto, ladies and gentlemen. We are walking through ZANU-PF manifesto. I'm trying to open your eyes, open your mind to see what we call failure. When President Nelson Chamisa is telling you that ZANU-PF is a failure, this is exactly what he will be referring to. So I say today, let me walk with you through ZANU-PF manifesto. ZANU-PF went on to say they also profoundly believes in putting people at the center of governance for purposes of inclusive and value-adding decision-making process in conformity with the fundamental tenets of the historic and successful Operation Restore 𝗪𝗲 under the slogan Vox Populi, Vox Dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God. This was the new dispensation. When they say the voice of the people is the voice of God. We saw people demonstrating on the 1st of August against election theft. That is the voice of the people. And that was the voice of God. Instead, Satan had to deploy armed soldiers to go and shoot the voice of the people, to go and kill the voice of God. So the mantra of the voice of the people is the voice of God. Does not work in ZANU-PF. Atete Constance Magadi. It doesn't work in ZANU-PF. And they talk about Operation Restore 𝗪𝗲. Whose legacy is it? Where did the 𝗪𝗲 go in the first place? Why do you want to restore it now? You understand? This is a forward only that I'm talking about. Then they go on to say it is therefore a national duty for every one of us. Talking about Zimbabweans. None but ourselves. The youth, the women, the disabled, the disadvantaged, the vulnerable from across political divide. Different ethnic groups, racial divide. It is upon us to go out in our epoch-making numbers to vote for change. We need to vote for change. They were telling you to vote for ZANU-PF, but to me, I am saying today, it is therefore a national duty for every one of us. None but ourselves as the people of Zimbabwe. When I say none but ourselves, I refer to the youth of Zimbabwe. I refer to women of the country. I'm looking at the disabled community and the disadvantaged people of Zimbabwe. The vulnerable from across the political divide. Ǹdebelés, Shonas, Kalangas, Korekores, Zezuru, whatever tribe, white, black, on racial divide. Makarad. Today, if you are listening to Shepherd Yuda, let's go out on the 23rd of August in our epoch-making numbers to vote for 𝗪𝗎𝗪 and vote for change. This coming election should make a difference. 𝗪𝗎𝗪 is the only party that can restore our legacy. We can restore the legacy of being the bread basket of Africa. 𝗪𝗎𝗪 is the only political party today that can sustain your prosperity, the country's prosperity. If you look at A.D. Mnangagwa, he is dismally failed as minister from 1980, as vice president, and now as president. Chabuda hapana. Hayi mkoma shepard murise nemuri. Fei zviru kufamba ratete murise. Andimona. So, we are going into 2023 election, ladies and gentlemen. Obvious, their candidate is Emmerson Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa was the candidate in 2018 harmonized elections. They call him comrade. Inina, I said to myself, never call me a comrade. That's a Russian word of a friend. I'm not a friend to ZANU-PF. Never call me a comrade. I don't like that. I know a lot of people come to me and say, comrade, comrade. Better you call me champion, not comrade. I'm not a comrade. I don't like it. When they call me a comrade, and to pinduri. Because I like people calling me champion rather than comrade. I enjoy affectionately known as a champion, not comrade. That's Russian for a friend. I'm not a friend to any killers. So 2023 must usher the new dawn. Must see Mnangagwa packing his bags and leave the State House. Because if you go to their 2018 manifesto, ZANU-PF, they lie a lot. They lie. They said ED has a distinctive track record that puts him in good standing for the highest position in the party. If you think of Mnangagwa's distinctive track record in the EP, I said ED Mnangagwa was Zipra, was trained as a saboteur. One attempt to blow a train was arrested and compromised the position of the struggle war. He was jailed. If you ask ZANU-PF people, they tell you that he was jailed for 10 years. Count from 1965 to 1972. How many years are they? Less than 7 years. Probably 5 years that he served in prison, where he was trained, where he was converted into a state agent. This is today why you see he is very comfortable dealing with the Rutland, whose father was a minister in the Rhodesian government. Dealing with Macmillan, whose father was a CIO in the Rhodesian government. He's very comfortable in dealing with those people. He is not comfortable in dealing with the Zimbabweans. So if you say he has got a distinctive track record, I'm asking Zimbabweans, where was Mnangagwa since he was released from prison? He rejoined Mugabe in Mozambique in 1977, at the end of 1977. 1978, negotiations were at an advanced stage, which ushered an election that ZANU-PF claimed to have won. So, if it means fighting in the bush, I think he just fought for a few months before he was arrested. From there, he never fought in this war. So when you say a distinctive track record of being Robert Mugabe's bodyguard, maybe. So this does not make him suitable for the highest position in the country. Probably in their part, of course. Not in Zimbabwe. So what I'm saying here is Mnangagwa's contribution to Zimbabwe and to his political party, ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF, when they look at that, his contribution, they say it's immense and demonstrated by illustrious career dating back to the time of liberation struggle. So ask them, which time of liberation struggle are you referring to? An attempt to blow a train before he was arrested. Arrested, incarcerated for 6 years or 5 years. Released and deported to Zambia. Rejoined Mugabe in Mozambique in 1977. 78 was the final year, and then war stopped. Ask him, in 1978, did he go on the front to go and fight? Yes. This is why you see this gold mafia is full of Rhodesians, because he was converted whilst he was in prison as a Rhodesian agent who had to go out and try to destabilize ZANU-PF from within. Because he never thought that the war would end. So if you ask Zimbabweans, what are the immense illustrations dating back to the liberation struggle that they can say, what are they? What are they? Ask them, what did Mnangagwa do? What are they? They come to you and tell you that he's a visionary and pragmatic leader. This is why I am saying these English words are easily piled up to try and paint mediocrity as success. If you look at Emmerson Mnangagwa, he is never a visionary leader. He doesn't have a vision. If he had a vision, he became minister in 1980, Minister of State. From there, by now, he should be telling us that, look, when I was a minister in the ZANU-PF regime, this is what I did. That's what I did. That's what I did. That's what. 43 years of independence, he has got nothing to show. He has got graves. He had to make sure that Heroes Acre is full when he was a minister. This is when a lot of ministers were apinda mpuma, minister wa puma, minister wa imbwanema, wakapera. That's his legacy. His legacy is about graves in Matabeleland. You go to Matabeleland, wangawashi mandewela anga ashitukwa na tafadzwa mugwadi, and they deserved to die. He went on to build a mortuary because he likes killing. He likes killing a lot of people. This is why you see on the 1st of August 2018, he shot and killed people. He came back and admitted that, yes, I authorized deployment of those soldiers to go and gun down innocent civilians. So he's happy about killing. This is why instead of building schools, he goes on to build a mortuary. Instead of providing mishonga, cancer machine, wasafe, he's promoting the death of Zimbabweans. So, I'm not sure whether that is the vision which was being talked about in 2018 manifesto by ZANU-PF. And the ED is an engaging and highly accessible leader. I don't want to venture much into this. I'm looking just a few weeks from the coronation of King Charles here. He came here, instead of meeting Zimbabweans, he ran away from Zimbabweans. And in their manifesto in 2018, they said he's an accessible leader. He's only accessible to the gold mafia, to the Rhodesians who are looting the country now. He's only accessible to the fake prophets on a Java. He's never accessible to ordinary Zimbabweans. When he come for COP26, Zimbabweans, they gathered in Scotland. He never came to address them. And in his manifesto, he said he was accessible. He came to London. Let's assume that his Zimbabweans meeting in Scotland was disrupted by Shepherd Yuda. As you heard from my brother Mavaza, who said Shepherd Yuda was ready to impound and embarrass our president in the COP26 meeting. But in London, Shepherd Yuda was not there. I was not in London. Zimbabweans traveled from Scotland, from all walks of life in the United Kingdom, those ZANU-PF people, to go to Zimbabwe embassy to meet Emmerson Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa refused to come and meet them. He refused. He did not meet them there. Nicky Mangwana was there seated, ready, waiting for the president to come and address Zimbabweans. He refused. He did not meet Zimbabweans. He went back to Zimbabwe and met Passion Java. He refused to meet Zimbabweans in London. Traveled back to Zimbabwe and met Passion Java. He met Chinganga Chinoyaku State House Church. But in London there, he did not meet Zimbabweans. In Scotland there, he refused to meet Zimbabweans. But in his manifesto, he had said he is an engaging and highly accessible leader. Accessible to who? He's so obsessed with cadavers. And it on. So ZANU-PF's manifesto said Mnangagwa listens to the people. I'm not sure which people he listened to. They say he engages with the people regardless of the social and economic standing. He came to UK twice and failed to meet Zimbabweans. He came twice. Pa COP26, he came. Pa coronation of King Charles, he came. On two occasions, he visited this country. He refused or did not engage Zimbabweans, did not meet with the Zimbabweans. He was supposed to come, even if Mnangagwa Shepherd Yuda is here to disrupt the meeting. A wise president would call, could I were going to tower in a Shepherd? Shepherd Garab, president go Garab. Chichemo chako Shepherd chi. Ndo taura na Mnangagwa. Chichemo chamo ndechekuti mudara. Muri kuuraya vana vasina mhosva. Muri kuba ma-elections. Muri kuzviitirei. Nyika yaparara vanhu vanwa sewage. You are sabotaging my councils. Muri kuzviitirei. Why are you incarcerating innocent people like wana Job Scholar? Whilst releasing hardcore criminals? Wana wakarepa vana manane 9 years. What are you promoting? Are you promoting rape in our country? I've got manuna ekuti ndotaura naye kana takagara. Ndomuudza ma-concerns angu. Those concerns, they will never come from any ZANU-PF supporter. Because those are bum lickers. So, if you look at Mnangagwa, they say he's trustworthy. Someone who engages former Rhodesians. People who used to kill us. People who used to enslave us. And you go on to trust that person. How do you gauge the trust. He says he believes in the dignity of hard work. If you look at the gold mafia, where gold was being smuggled at Harare International Airport, panonzi padzimama gets gold richilodwa mundege. He believes in dignity. Dignity in Zimbabwe ndeipi. Hard work yasara munyika ndeipi. And the 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 a diplomatic tape on that bag, $1 billion inopinda, nobody will touch it. And this statement, this only statement that infuriate when I was going through their 2018 manifesto is a statement yekuti Mnangagwa upholds sound ethical government practices that demand accountability, transparency, and responsibility in the management of public resources and the economy. Ipapo ndakarwadziwa. And he believes in uplifting the living standards of all Zimbabweans. Statement iyo ainaunditira zvakanaka. Ndakaita kuti my heart skips a beat. Even sugar level yangu yakabva yakwira. Ndakabva ndaita BP, blood pressure. Because when we talk about someone believing in uplifting the living standards of all Zimbabweans, someone who goes on to address a meeting to say, when we opposition, zvichemo zvavo hakuna zvinosvika zvoperera kuHarvest House. That means Zimbabwe, Harare ikaita marara, government, njori kuencourage vanhu kuti isai marara pese pese, musapa mari council, torai mari dzekugadzira nzira dzinofanira kuenda kucouncil, muchipa chino organization inonzi Zinara. Torai mari dzemvura mupa organization inonzi Zino. Kosara council isina mari. Then that person owes people believe that he is trying to uplift the living standards of the people of Zimbabwe. Are those people in urban areas not Zimbabweans? Which living standards is he uplifting? Let's look from 2018 to 2023. Which living standards were uplifted by Emmerson Mnangagwa in the ZANU-PF government? When we talk to the management of public resources, when we talk to transparency, apana tender in a major business in Zimbabwe isingapuwe sakunda. Akanzitora Rufaro Stadium ite yako. Enda unovaka resurface road, vaka roundabout, vaka zvese zviri kuenda kuna sakunda. Is there any transparency? Takaona pachigazetwa mutemo wokunzi expenditure yeMinistry of Health haichabvumirwi kutaurwa. Vadaro vakanotenga zvimahelicopter. Vabhana kutaura kuti helicopter dzoita mari. Helicopter ye $400,000 yakanzi yakaita 10 million. How much did Zimbabwe lose? Then someone is talking about transparency and accountability in the manifesto of a party. So government practices, Mnangagwa is by far the least qualified person to talk about this. Statement iyi yakandorwadza anosoda kunyeperai. ZANU-PF, they believe that ED believes in uplifting of the youth as the future of Zimbabwe. Mukatarisa youth yemuZimbabwe varutorwa vachiendeswa kuborder gezi uku, vachiendeswa kuchitepo ideology. That will never uplift them. Dai vaitorwa vachinzi instead yekunomacha kuborder gezi, tatora 2000 mayouth aya vaenda kuChina kunodzidziswa kugadzira motikari, vaenda kunana UK kunodzidziswa kugadzira machemicals ekupurifya mvura, vaenda kunoita engineering yekudzidziswa kuti engine inogadzirwa sei inodhonza mvura kumoto Jeffrey, vari kudzidziswa kuti mapomba anochererwa sei, anofanira kuva ari width yakaita sei, anosustaina population yevanhu yakaita sei kuti asazodhuka mvura isashota munyika. Vaenda kunotarisa another way of providing electricity to the country besides coal and hydroelectricity, thing in 𝗪𝗏. This is what will uplift the future of Zimbabwe or the future of the youth. This is exactly what Chamisa is telling you on daily basis. That look, we will look into immediate needs of the people of Zimbabwe. The first need of the people of Zimbabwe is electricity. Nyika kana isina load shedding, obvious. Ma companies akuya kuzoinvesta. Production inorara chingenga. Magetsi ari T. And that is where job creation comes from. You cannot talk of jobs and jobs when the country has got load shedding. Hakuna company inobva kuAmerica kuya kuzoinvesta nyika isina magetsi. Hakuna. Kuti mwana ogadzira cement kuyazoita plant cement plant muZimbabwe anouya 20 hours kusina magetsi ogadzira cement in 4 hours ashandi ashbude. Saka President Nelson Chamisa, when he is looking into things that are priority to Zimbabwe, he speak about stopping load shedding, make sure that we have got enough electricity to run our factories and produce to develop the country and empower those people who want to be empowered. And they come to you and they say he's both a father and model. This is what I say. ZANU-PF is hallucinating. In that, in their manifesto, they were hallucinating. Someone who rapes a teenage girl, cannot be a role model. A rapist will never be a role model. We still have a girl, Susan Mutami, crying in Canada. I've been raped in him Daro and Edgar on Bakakashin. I shouldn't am cards. Listen, garden dream when I'm at that age. Tikans white Daro, Dara Angas now say come size. American Angas will say come size. Then someone will come and tell you that this is a father who rapes innocent girls, young girls, teenage girls, cannot be a role model. So that manifesto was full of lies. It is not a manifesto a good one with Zimbabwe, they can look at it. Because if we look at the commitments for Mnangagwa, why people should never vote Emmerson Mnangagwa, go to that manifesto. Go to that manifesto. And you see, Kuti Mnangagwa, Arkunzi, he saved the people of Zimbabwe and ZANU-PF in a loyal manner. They say Mnangagwa was appointed in 1980 as the first independent Zimbabwe Minister of State. If he is a role model, a father, I don't think he was gonna send or create issues that led to the massacre of 20,000 plus in the 𝗲𝗲 people down in Matabeleland. He was the first Zimbabwe Minister of State Security. So if you say Mnangagwa Miraya Batitaur, what have you achieved as a State Security Minister? It's Gukura wound, death of 20,000 plus 𝗲𝗲 people. Because of his commitment to ZANU-PF, his loyalty to Mugabe, he destroyed the people of Zimbabwe. And then one. So if you look at the history, this is when you cannot continue to vote for failure. He was Minister of State from 1980 to 1988. He was Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs from 1981 to 2000. Pane munhu wandaimbotaura nga ndakashanda naye mudhara ari minister of justice. And him he was Speaker of Parliament from 2000 to 2005. He was Minister of National Rural Housing and Social Amendment from 2000 to 2005. Ipapo ndopa akazvamburwa 2000 akazvamburwa na Blessing Chebundo, 2005 akazvamburwa na Blessing Chebundo. Apa anga achingo appointwa chete because of his loyalty to Robert Mugabe. He became Minister of Defense from 2005 to 2009. He became Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs from 2009 to 2014 before he became Vice President of a country. This portfolio should be enough for Emmerson Mnangagwa to stand proud and point at the development he did to the country when he was minister in all these portfolios. But with all these portfolios, he has got nothing to show to the people of Zimbabwe. This is according to 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗵𝗿 manifesto. What we is supposed to show us is a person who has held crucial portfolios since 1980. In 2023, 43 years down the line, he has got nothing to show to the country. So this clearly demonstrated mediocrity. He never implemented anything that helped the people of Zimbabwe. From 2000 to 2005, when he was Minister of Rural Housing and Social Amenities, ask Mnangagwa how many homes did he build, even rural homes. Ndopaitaurwa nyaya dzerural electrification. Hakuna maruzevha ane magetsi. Hakuna ruzevha rune magetsi, hakuna. Magrowth point mazhinji haana kana magetsi. Saka hatisi kuziva rural electrification yacho yakaenda kupi. Andimona. Saka there was quite a lot of things that are against Mnangagwa since he became since he became minister or soon after independence. For you to continue burdening him with the things that are beyond his capability, we are wrong. Zimbabweans, you are wrong. Even ZANU-PF people, you are wrong. And because we are talking of someone who was born in 1942. Right. In 1942, this is when Emmerson Mnangagwa was born. He was arrested in 1965. That means he was 23 years old when he was arrested. He served from 1965, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. Then early 72 was released. So he served 6 years in prison. So he was released at he was released at 29 years of age. Yeah, he was released at 29. He was when he was released from prison. He was arrested at 23 and was released at 29. And the ZANU-PF people, they tell you that he was trained by Putin. In 1972 or 73, Putin was just 13 years old. KGB. There is nowhere Putin could have trained Mnangagwa. So you see that, like what I said yesterday, that the history of Zimbabwe is so distorted. So he was born in Mapanzure's area in Zvishavane, Midlands. He joined the UNI, United National Independence Party, UNIP. Party yakatanga kujoina Mnangagwa ye politics. It was led by Kenneth Kaunda. This was a Zambian party. This makes him Zambian. He started this political activism in UNIP at a very tender age. You ask Zimbabweans, you ask the people who wrote this, when you say tender age, what do you mean? Because when he was born in 1942, in 1952, He was 10 years. A 10-year-old girl or a boy cannot do politics. That was 1952. In 1962, he was 20 years. So if we ask ZANU-PF people that he joined UNIP at a tender age, when did he join UNIP? How old was he? Then he joined ZANU-PF in 1962. He joined, ZAPU in 1962. That means he was 20 years old when he joined ZAPU. He left Zambia and came to join ZAPU. That could be possible because there was federation. Zimbabwe, Nyasaland, it was a federal country. So Zimbabwe, Nyasaland, and the Northern Rhodesia was a federal country. So could have joined UNIP during the federation. That could be possible. But at what age? ZANU-PF calls tender. They say when he was, in 1962, they say when he was merely an 18-year-old one. Guys, someone who was born 1942, in 1962, this person was 20 years old. He was not 18 years old. It's being said by ZANU-PF. And I like the passion you have for politics in Goma. We are learning a lot. Thanks, Mainunu. Thank you so much. Because here, we want to set the record straight. We want the future generation to understand. Because if we don't do this, then the future generation will rely on ZANU-PF propaganda. We don't want people to be pregnant with propaganda, to be overfed with the propaganda. Because in 1962, when Emmerson Mnangagwa joined ZAPU, he was not 18 years old. He was 20 years old. He later joined the newly formed ZANU-PF. ZANU, not ZANU-PF. This ZANU he joined was formed na sekuru vangu inini. Vandaba ningistolo. Unobarwa mai vangu kwa stolo. Ndo stolo ndo wakafoma yainzi Zimbabwe African National Union, ZANU. This part was formed in August 1963. So they are saying he joined it as one of the founding members. He has been loyal to the Revolutionary Party from day one. This is what these people say, that he has been loyal from day one. Let's look at day one. Well, let's look at when he was incarcerated. Where was his loyalty? When he was deported back to Zambia, where was his loyalty? And he came back later, after a lot of people had fought. Imagine from 1972 to 1977, he was a wolf for 5 years, whilst people were fighting and dying. Then someone will come to you and say he was loyal from day one. Brazil. They say he's a tried and tested revolutionary leader who clearly understands our history and Zimbabwe's destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to revisit Emmerson Mnangagwa's videos and revisit Mugabe's videos. I want you to compare and contrast. I will do it one day for you. I'm very good at that. I will compare and contrast. There is nowhere Mnangagwa talks about his participation during the war. He only talks about trying to bomb a train and deported back to Zambia. That is that. He has no history of fighting in Zimbabwe. He cannot tell you takapinda mu Zimbabwe tikaenda kwa Mount Selinda pai tikanorovana nemabhunu tikarwa hondo yakadera. He cannot say that because he was not there, did not participate in that war. Andiri Murugunzo. They said he is a tried and tested leader who clearly understands our history and Zimbabwe's destiny. Definitely, he lacks understanding of Zimbabwe's destiny. If he knew the destiny of Zimbabwe, he would know that the struggle war was fought for one man, one vote elections. Yesterday, I spoke a lot about political, about elections anyway. Yesterday and the morning. In 2018, ZANU-PF said ED received military training in Tanzania in Egypt. If you want to see that it's not true or azvina element of truth in this, andikanga zvakafanana nenini 𝗪𝗵𝗵𝗪 kuti ndakasiya kuprison 2008 ndichiuya kuUK. Ukabvunza mugadhijere wandakatrena naye anokuudza kuti aive naYudha. Ukabvunza Yudha kuti wakapinda basa riini kuprison, ndokutaurira nemusi wacho wandakapinda basa, nedate nenguva yandakapinda basa ndokuudza. If you look at this manifesto ezano, inongotaura kuti akareceive military training kuEgypt. Vanombotaura kuti hanzi akatrenwa naPutin, hatizivi kuti ndekupi, because by then Putin was just 13 years old when Mnangagwa was released from prison. Kana akatrenwa kuTanzania, obvious anofana kuti gurira kuti gore rakati ndakatrenwa kuTanzania. Ukandibvunza inini kuti Shepherd in 1996 pawakajoina prison wanga uri mwedzi upi? I joined the prison in April, on the 24th of April 1996. Ndikatrenwa na instructor wangu ndiri muRed Squad ainzi Mdara Nyakahembe. Ndiye anga ari instructor wangu. Ndiye anga ari drill instructor wangu. Weapons instructor wangu ndakatrenwa na Mdara Chimwani, ndikatrenwa na Jole na Chimbadzo. Those were weapons instructor. Ndikatrenwa na Mdara Sago ainzi Moyo. Those people kana nyangu ukandibvunza ndakarara ndinongombuka ndichikuudza kuti aiona Mdara ainzi Bhudhi Mafadza patraining depot, aiyo weapons instructor, aiona Mdara Mjeri Mahachi. This is detailed information that no one can doubt you. Ask Mnangagwa, you received training in Tanzania. Aiyo instructor wake ndiani? Vaive masquadsmate ake ipapo ndavanani? Inini kandibvunza ndokuudza ndaiona na George Maigurira, ndaiona na Raphael Mandofa, ndaiona na Claudius Kasimo, ndaiona na Frank Kadzungwa. Ndiri kutaurira Red Squad yandaive ndiri nini. Vanhu vandiri kutaurira ndaona na James Batidzo, taiona na Gumbu Fire. I'm telling of the guys I trained with. I still know squad yangu yese, Red Squad yangu. But how many years? From 1996 to almost 30 years now. But I can still remember when I trainer now Red Squad ku prison. Ndakagara panapa, I still remember when ndakadzidza nawo grade 1 in 1981. When ndakapinda nawo mclass, same class 1981, ndiri grade 1. Vana Dickson Chakabva, vana Jonas, vana Godwin Gutsa, vana Billiard, vana Chivina Majiga, vana Voice Saka, vana Joyce Mavunga, vana Taizivei Kavai. Ndichikudza nema names awo nema surname avo. But I'm talking of people vandakaenda nawo kuchikoro class, same class in 1981, ndiri grade 1. I still know them by their names. Teacher akandidzisa grade 1 ainzi Mdara Chikazi, I still know him by name. Akandidzisa grade 2. Ndikadziswa grade 3 na Maichi Patiso. Ndikadziswa grade 4 na Mdara Marape. Ndikadziswa grade 5 ndikatishwa na mai vangu wabiza vana. Ndikatishwa na Manyeta Banda grade 5. Ndikatishwa na gogo wangu Duve. Aishanda ku ZBC uya inzi Medellin Duve. she taught, ndakatishwa ne3 maticha in grade 5. Madeline Duve taught me in grade 5. Manyeta Banda taught me in grade 5. I still remember those teachers very well. Ndikaenda grade 6. Ndikatishwa in grade 6 na 𝗪𝗹𝗲𝗧𝗵𝗵 ainzi Blanco. Aikutaura mufana chilombo chine mvele pamulomo shane. Aito uchipinda class aikuta 5 times 7, 2 times 5. Times table aifana kuimba nemusoro. Na 𝗪𝗹𝗲𝗧𝗵𝗵. Grade 7 ndikaenda. Ndikatishwa na 𝗪𝗹𝗲𝗧𝗵𝗵 futi. Ndikakochwa bhora na mutsika. Zvesezvo. This is primary education. Handichatauri secondary yamaimanje. Ndikutaura from 1981 to 1987. My teachers angwese akandidzidzisa. I still remember them. I know them. My classmates angu wana Dyson guards. I know them. Na nasi wana Walter Berebende wafana wakamboita magistrate kana malawyer. Those were my classmates. Wana Tafadzwa Nyakubaya. Wana Bridget Bora. Dream grade 7. Those were my classmates. Wana Janet Kalanji. Ndakagara wana Zvidzai Ocha. Ndakagara pano nokuudza grade 7 class yangu yanga yakamira sei. Unfortunately ndakatadza kuita class kuita kana class monitor kana kuita prefect nenyaya yemukonyo. But I can still remember this. So when I'm asking ED Mnangagwa history, it must be detailed. I'm telling you my detailed history from 1981. Ndikaenda kuNorton kwandakatanga grade 1 in 1978. Chitanga grade 1 class mandakapinda 1978. I can still tell you my friends angu nevanhu vandakaenda navo grade 1 iyoyo. Pakazobombwa chikoro tikatiza. Andiona 1978. I can still tell you some of the friends vandakatamba navo vandakapinda navo same class grade 1 ndichipinda mclass. Na teacher wangu kunonzi kuChitemeri primary school kuNorton. Saka ukanzwa munhu achiti ED received military training in Tanzania and Egypt. They should put a year. Which year was this? But so far hapana munhu wandakamunzwa achiti akatraina na ED. Kana munhu wandakanzwa achiti akaenda kuTanzania akanotraina na ED Chiuto. Kana akatraina na ED kuEgypt. Hapana wandonzwa. He also took part, and he was also part of Chinese trained crocodile group. Izvakarambwa izvo. Izvakarambwa igore ripi. Zvakarambwa mudharaida. How can you expect Madofo to remember those things? Anotokanganwa kuti aripi izvozvo. Nashi pakaipa mwana wamai. Izvakarambwa zvecrocodiles. They say he was never part of this gang. Crocodile gang raiva nanandangana. Arkunzi he was never part of this Chinese trained gang. Anyway, I'll look at military training yao. They were helped nana Tanzania. They were helped nana Egypt. Vakabatsirwa nema Chinese. Iwewe ngoda kuti America ngaingosimudza muromo kuti hanzi wa puppets of the West. Avachadi nawo kuti vamwe vanhu vabatsirwe nedzimwe nyika. They were helped by the Tanzanians, helped by the Egyptians, helped by the Chinese. They don't want any other opposition part to be helped by any other country. Hands your puppets. Let's wake up, my Zimbabweans. I'm walking through ZANU-PF's 2018 manifesto. Those who just joined us. I'm talking about 2018 ZANU-PF manifesto. Unpacking it. Unpacking their lies. Trying to open your eyes to say, look, we are going into harmonized election 2023 this August. What is expected of Zimbabweans? And so together, they went on to say, together with the late 𝗪𝗹𝗪, they blew a locomotive train in Fort Victoria in Masvingo that infuriated the colonial regime, leading to his arrest and sentence to death in 1965. The death sentence was subsequently commuted on an age technicality to 10 years imprisonment, which he served in various prisons as Kami prison in Zimbabwe, while at the same time advancing his education. When he was sentenced in 1965, Mnangagwa was born in 1942. He was 23 years old when he was sentenced to death. There was another guy who was 19 years, Ipapo. I've forgotten his name, I'll look for the name. This 19-year-old boy was hanged, and Mnangagwa is said to have been saved on technicality of age at 23. 23, vachiuraya munhu 19, vosevha munhu ane 23 years. What runs on technicality of age? Connect the dots. Why he's so comfortable to do business nana Rudland, to do business nana Macmillan. This is where it emanates from. This is exactly where it emanates from. Death sentence. Unozari ku prison. Kune ma records ese. Hapana record risipo. Ukada kuenda ku prison ma records ese wayariko. Hande itotarisana warrant rake. Antofukura warrant rake. By now ngadai warrant rake rakafukurwa udhara. Makatoratidzwa kunzi judge ninga akamusentensa death pakati. And this sentence was commuted to such gore rakati. Azvitaurwe zvese izvozvo. And as a result of the ill treatment and torture in prison, E.D. lost hearing in 1 ear. While in prison, he met Mugabe, Nkala, Nyagumbo, Tekere, and Didmas Mtasa. E.D. was released from prison and deported via Victoria Falls to Zambia in 1973. Right. When he was released, incarcerated in 1962, released in 1973. 1975. 1965 to 1973. 1965 to 1973. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which is about 6 or 7 years. Kanaga released in 1973. He served 7 years in prison. That is not 10 years. And while in prison, Anzi he was released in 1973, deported to Zambia, received and hosted by Comrade Peter Baya between 1973 and 1976. While in Zambia, he completed his law degree and was admitted to the bar of the High Court of Zambia in 1976. He voluntarily left Zambia to join the liberation struggle in 1976, which is not true. In 1977, this is when he left Zambia. Saka ukada kubvunza pamwe pesa apo kuti aite haana nhoroondo yechimurenga mudaro. He was assigned as the special assistant to the former president Mugabe. Haana nhoroondo yechimurenga. Ndosaka uchenda kutaura ngati tererai all his address. Mombonduudza kuti paane nhoroondo yehondo yechimurenga yeZimbabwe ndepapi. He never participated in this war. He just attempted to bomb this, arrested, sent to prison, deported back to Zambia, abandoned the struggle, went into studies, then joined the likes of Mugabe in Zambia. That was in 1977. So they are saying in 1977 he was elected as special assistant to the president. This is when he rejoined in 1977. And him on. Saka nhoroondo yacho iyese anzi in 1970 he was elected as a special assistant to the president and a member of the national executive of ZANU-PF at the 𝗪𝗶𝗂 Congress, which effectively made him a member of the Central Committee and High Command, as well as head of both the military and civil intelligence. He was deputized by the late retired General 𝗪𝗶𝗶 𝗪𝗶𝗂. In 1980, he led the first coup, the first group of comrades Didmus Mtasa and the late 𝗪𝗶𝗂 from Maputo to Harare during the ceasefire. He was just a bodyguard. Ramgabe. This is ZANU-PF manifesto, ladies and gentlemen, which I'm walking through so that people understand. With all this history, I'm not going to dwell much on this history. I'm going now to look on the basis why ZANU-PF should never win or should never be voted. Because if you look at ZANU-PF's vision, it was to transform Zimbabwe into a middle class, middle income economy by 2030. 2030 is not far. And by 2030, he won't be around. He will be dead. Vanachiwenga by 2030 vanenge vapera kufa. Havana vision yavari kuisa middle income. Vari kuisa vision yekuti vadye chete, vofa, voenda. Musara muri pa stage 1 muchitambura mu 21st century. ZANU-PF is just being aggressive for nothing. They said they were going to open up the country for business, and up to now, 6 years down the line, no business community is flourishing in that country. They spoke about rebuilding our industries. Hakuna kana industry one iri kuvakwa. They spoke about creating jobs. No jobs have been created. They wanted to eradicate the scourge of poverty. Zimbabwe is in worst poverty today. The current situation in Zimbabwe today, we are in worst poverty now. Ndakanzwa mpana achita Mugabe akasiya chingwa chita 9 cents. Munanga gwauya chingwa cha $2.50 US dollars. So he has failed to uplift the people's livelihoods. He was aiming to uplift the people's livelihoods, but failed. As a party, ZANU-PF failed dismally. Because they were seeking mandate from the people of Zimbabwe. And they claimed the mandate. They rigged the election. They said they've won the election. They said they've won the 2018 election. So instead of them unveiling the immense opportunities awaiting Zimbabweans under their new dispensation, they went on to kill Zimbabweans. They went on to demonstrate an attitude that destroyed fulfilling the aspirations of the people of a country. So you will find that the new dispensation led Zimbabwe into a pariah state. They tried to say we are doing Operation Restore Legacy when they did a coup and removed Robert Gabriel Mugabe, installing Mnangagwa mumwezi wa Mbudzi. Ndipamuona kuti zvakadhakwa izvi. Musi wa 24 November 2017 ndipo vakaisa Mnangagwa. Kanzi kana kuroorwa chaka kuna munhu anoroorwa mwezi wa Mbudzi. Mwezi wa Mbudzi mashura unoyera. Hausi mwedzi wokuti hanzi kana kuroorwa akuroorwe munhu. Kana mabira atambwe mwezi wa Mbudzi. November muZimbabwe kwaana chinhu chese chinoitwa muna November hachina musoro. Kama ceremonies kana mudzimu chavanza ubude muna November. Hanzi kana mbiri yemudzimu unoyera Mwari uyo ari kumusoro kudenga ngiro dzakadzidzike dzichitaura muna November. Kuna zvakadaro. N'anga dzinovhara matare muna November. Kuna dare rinoitwa muna November. Ndo pavaiplota kubvisa Mugabe. Vakabvisa Mugabe muna November vakaisa Mnangagwa ipapo. That means even midzimu yenyika yeZimbabwe haina kuapuruvha zvakadaro. Hakuna chinhu chinoitwa mwedzi wa Mbudzi chinoapuruvwa nemadzinza. Saka uri kuona nyika yeZimbabwe, we are now in the worst poverty. The coup ushered nonsense, ushered mediocrity. It did not place Zimbabwe or reposition the country in the rightful place of international community. This is why you see even the re-engagement failed. When the re-engagement failed, it's because these things were done in November. Nothing will stand. And they are now still crying sanctions. They've been here in England. They've met Wana Blair, they've met Wanan, they've been in America, they've met all sorts of government officials. But they come back still to you and cry about sanctions. Zvakaitwa mwedzi wambudzi hakuna chinoitwa. Matare nganga dzinovhara. Mbire mudzimu inoera chaitauri mwedzi wambudzi. Mwari vanomboenda off. Mboti aiwa mwedzi uno relaxai. Mimi ndipo muri kuronga ku. Andimona. So in their manifesto they were promising to fulfill the aspirations of the people of Zimbabwe. They were promising to fulfill and maximize the emerging international goodwill and put confidence to open up businesses. They were talking about 3 billion foreign direct investment, which never came. Instead, this was billions and billions of US dollars, which were looted by the gold mafia. And they were talking about the government, the party reinvigorating its covenant with the people and offering its vision, plans, and programs, which never went. 5 years, asking them, what were your visions? What were your plans? What were your programs for the people of Zimbabwe? And nothing came. If you go on the social economic front, you talk about the intervention that should have made modernized and mechanized agriculture system. Hakuna chiriko. Takanzo kuti kwaya matractor, wakamboona tractor yacho kana 1. Takanzo kuti kwaya mabhazi. Asata mbona vanhu vanhasa vanarume Harare vanosvika 12 midnight vachimirira transport, hakuna kana zupuko racho. Mabhazi acho akaendepi? Mabhazi the only surface kana achinotakura vanhu kuenda kumarally kuno official opening of a tap. And they were talking about eliminating multiple farm ownership. Takanzwa kuti Bona Mugabane 21 farms, they never spoke about it. But if they start talking about it, our maparas and baburiso, unzwani maparas mangani. So the farm, there is promise could Vajada clamp down on multiple farm ownership. They said they were going to reduce sizes of the farms to accommodate one wasina land. They were talking about democratic principles and the rule of law, which never came. This manifesto is full of shit. And then more. Because if you look at Zimbabweans, even ZANU-PF wrote it in their manifesto, that the people of Zimbabwe were demanding change. They need change of leadership. The people of Zimbabwe, they need zero tolerance of corruption. They need accelerated economic growth, which has never come under ZANU-PF for the past 5 years, but they put it in their manifesto. Price stability. We're going to 20, 5 years later, the minister, who is a professor in economics, ari kufamba mumashops achifosera mashop kuti doredzai mutengo, because ZANU-PF has failed to stabilize the prices. They have failed to make people access their hard cash. Akauya Mnangagwa akati 1 bond is equivalent to $1 and mobbed all the US dollars that the people had put in their accounts. Converted my US dollar into bonds. Now any friend yangu mweru Canada, iri ku Australia, akachema zvikanzi mukoma shepherd. Ndainetsana na madam akati wona tugara mu foreign land. If anything happens muno tikadzokera kumusha hatina chatinacho. Saka ngativhure account yatichisa mari every month. Vakavhura account yavo ameno anzi reserve bank account yavaisa ma user every month. Akati mu account mama ane 5,000 user tichidangoedza. Yakamopwa yese ikachinjwa yaswa mabonds. Today that 5,000 US dollars yake yakachinjwa mabonds irimo nanhasi it is now worth $1, $1 US. From having 5,000 to $1 US. And ndakataurira umwe ndikati don't invest in such things. Kuti ungati anzoda kuvhura account kumusha ndichisa US dollars. Zimbabwe's economy is unpredictable. Mfesi wangu akachema zvakanzi 5,000 yakarova blaz. Today $1. dollar. Adzimai flows zvirise. Andiri muriona. So they failed to stabilize the prices of things, goods. The hard-earned cash aiko. Job creation akuna. Vakazvitaura mu their manifesto. They said they were going to make it easy to do business in Zimbabwe. They wanted to promote a foreign direct investment. That never came. Takangonzwa newspaper. Kunzigune thousands and thousands of US firms vari queue kuda kuya kuzoinvesta munyika. 5 years down the line, ask Nick Mangwana, he will never come and say that again. Asina kana chekutaura kuti aripi mafactories mafirms aitaura. Mubvunzei kuti ko ichiri kuzovhura here 2019 June. CSC masvingo iri kuvhurwa here muna June 2019. Tatosvika 2030 CSC yacho pasina kana any sign yekuti paiswa kana magetsi zvavo kana pagradwa road kana paiswa running water. So all these lies, Zimbabweans cannot afford to rely. And I'm fine, my love. This is I hope my kids and I all fine, dear. All fine. I hope the same to your side as well. And the one. Saka, ZANU-PF, according to their manifesto, they wanted to abide by the people's aspirations, but they have dismally failed. I'm taking audit of whatever happened between 2017 and 2023. So the issues that they were parading, heralding every single day of inclusivity, transparency and accountability, those are foreign words in terms of ZANU-PF governance. Apasina kana chino sustainable development and service delivery in our country. Instead, munanga gwaka antoine video yakutobuda achitaura kuti hakuna kunoenda zvichemo zvevanhu veopposition kusvika nyika yazvinozvima nematutu ematuzvi mucentral muCBD of Harare because of this saboteur trained sabotage who you put in as president through coup muna November mwedzi wambudzi. And in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, let me continue tomorrow. Where tomorrow I'll be talking about indigenization and economic empowerment that was put in there. Then we'll look into the guiding principles of the People's Manifesto, year 2018. We look into unity, cooperation to free empowerment, development, and we look at re-engagement. I think utanga mangwana ndogona kutanga re-engagement, or let me do the re-engagement now. Because what they were talking about on re-engagement, they wanted to open Zimbabwe for global business. You cannot open that country for global business before addressing local issues, local businesses. The issues that are affecting local businesses haven't been addressed. Already, you are trying to quote foreign investment, foreign businesses, global businesses. Could Anzi BMW set up a plant in Zimbabwe. Amazon yonovaka its plant in Zimbabwe. Ashibude. Because ZANU-PF government has failed to protect the interests of the business. They cannot preserve the national interest and security of the country, which they had put in their manifesto to say this is their priority. They have failed to mend strained international relationship with other countries. They aimed to do that, but they have failed to do that. They cannot strengthen existing and creating new friendship through re-engagement. They failed. We saw Mnangagwa coming to this country, meeting different leaders, but nothing came up. We saw him in COP26, nothing came up. That means on a re-engagement front, that is a failure. The only political party or the only leader at this juncture who can lead a re-engagement, a proper re-engagement with the global business is only Nelson Chamisa. And they were looking at partnership. local partnership, regional partnership, and international partnership. They can't even come to terms with the opposition in our country to say, Ayoga, CCC is an opposition political party. Hine masupporters ine vanhu vayo. Regai president waya aende unokambena. Achitaura nevanhu vake, vanomudawo. Imi kana mune wenyu anokudai endai motaura nevanhu venyu. Zvisina kurwisana. So you see, local partnership or local understanding of the politics, haana mudhara. Regionally, haana munhu achamuda. Internationally worse. Isusu tikaenda international unotaurawo nemapartners vanoti vakomana yaiti mbotiudzwa kuti imimi opposition muri kuzvifambisa sei kuZimbabwe, muri kukambena sei, hanzi mapuppets. Andimona vasiyana nanga neMDC vakutaura about isusu. So trying to re-engage international creditors, those guys will never give you money again. Because zvikwereti zvacho you never paid. Saka munoramba muchikokwereteswa muchipuwa mari chete musikabhadhari. Mari dzacho dziri kuuya kuZimbabwe dziri kushandei. Mega deals atainzwa kuti aenda Mnangagwa China wa 5.2 billion mega deals aenda kokata sen. Pakabuda about, if I am correct, mari dzataka billions akakumbirwa akabhorowewa naMnangagwa from the international community kwaingobuda every day yakasvika ku 42 billion. Injecting 42 billion in Zimbabwe economy today, it will take Zimbabwe 30 more years without suffering. Every Zimbabwean achidya achiguta. And more. So he was talking about promoting international protocols through their ratification and domestication where necessary. Mitemo yavari kupasisa muparliament yakutoita kuti vatoti were pushed far away because they are kuti vaite vakutadza domestication chaiyo vozoda kuti ratify their international protocols. Azvibude. National rebranding reduce country risk perception. Ndobva ndamira ipapo ichachirungu ichi kuti vainyora chirungu vakomana vachiti openness to international election observation. Nhasi vakutaura kuti hatina maobservers anobva kunyika dzakati nedzakati. And those people doesn't need accreditation. We have to go observe. So they were saying we want to recover lost export markets. What are you expecting to export as a country? So I was talking about a re-engagement. This is what they expected on their re-engagement, that they wanted to open Zimbabwe for global business, which they never did. They were protecting and preserving the national interests and security of the country, which they never did. Mending strained international relationships, strengthening existing and creating new friendship through re-engagement that never worked. This is their manifesto, 2018 manifesto. Then they said they wanted to rebuild local, regional, and international partnerships, which they never did. They spoke about re-engaging international creditors, which they failed. Respecting international protocols through their ratification and domestication where necessary, and this dismally failed. National rebranding and reducing country risk perception, they failed. Openness on international election observation and recovering lost export markets, they failed. Saka chini chinonzi feila chapter 3 yavo manifesto yavo ndo paunoona chinhu chinonzi ZANU-PF feila. Saka ratisati tatanga kunotaura nezvaya vision and the promise to the people of Zimbabwe tozotaura mangwana. For tonight rikainditi good night. Mangwana ndira kusiyai muri pakuda kuya kuzoteerera mangwana kuti what are we talking about when they were saying the ZANU-PF vision and the promise to the people of Zimbabwe. Ndizvo zviripo here. Taakuenda kuma-election 2023. Hanzi mukoma waida good night ndaneta. Good night ndagarisawo nendaneta. Ngapinda hake mukomana. Good night. Dirihora vakomana. Dirihora rembanje vanogara mudiriho vakomana. vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje, vanogara mudhiriwo, musatambe navo, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje, nogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana, dhiriwo rarembanje, vanogara iro dhiriwo rairo, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje, nogara mudhiriwo, vakomana, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje, vanogara mudhiriwo, musatambe navo, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana. Good night, good night. Morara zvakanaka vana veZimbabwe. Tosangana mangwana naye. We continue exploring. We continue walking through the manifesto 𝗪𝗵𝗶 for 2018. Tichiona kuti pane zvavakagona here, pane zvavakazadzisa here. Why do they want 5 more years when they failed to fulfill or to meet what they promised the people of Zimbabwe in 2018? 5 years down the line, apana chavo chatabata chiri kuoneka kuti ichaitwa neZANU-PF. They are coming to you to say toda 5 more years. What for? Hanzi bwangorowa dhiriwo ndavana munga, dhiriwo ravakomana, dhiriwo rarembanje, vanogara mudhiriwo, vakomana, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje, vanogara mudhiriwo, usatambe navo, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje, vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana. Tata hanzi dhiriwo ramahwani pakaipa. Saka noti mukomadheni mundarama auya ndapedza. Saka noti good night. Tomorrow we continue to explore, walking through ZANU-PF's 2018 manifesto and see what they delivered. Does ZANU-PF require any 5 years again? For the past 43 years, we'll look into some of their previous manifestos. Vayo nemaminista vaiti gore anzi gore rechi ma 5-year plans avaita kudhara ya. We will look into them. Kuti svike pakunyatsovhura vana veZimbabwe maziso nepfungwa kuti muri kushandiswa, hakuna chinobuda kuZANU-PF. Good night. Night. Tosangana mangwana naye. Good night.